Right, I'm going to start with some of the dark first. I'll just, I won't be copying the actual reference photograph exactly. I'm not going to put it on too thickly. Now the colour I'm using here actually is Paynes grey with a little bit of ultramarine in. Now I've mixed a little bit of Liquin with it. I just want to get a sort of, I don't want to work with a buttery sort of consistency with the paint. I want a sort of a very thick, creamy consistency. And as I said, I am using a size 8 filbert here, but you could very well, certainly for this size of painting, use a much larger brush. Got a slightly darker mix here. Put some of that on. So exactly the same colour, Paynes grey and ultramarine, with a little bit of ultramarine. What I tend to do is I just mix this dark colour and I put a little bit of white with it, and I've got this light colour. So I've just got these two values to work with for this. Now I didn't put too much liquid with it, and it's a fairly slow drying paint is this Paynes grey, so I don't need to rush. This won't be, well, it won't be dry for a week or two, and it's going to be fairly workable for 2 or 3 days really. So I know sometimes you can use a very fast drying oil paint like the Griffin Alkids, and they start drying within an hour, or I should say, well, they dry overnight, but within an hour they get to the stage where they're just not really workable at all. Now I'll get the other filbert out and use this for the whites. Now we've got this reflection here on just a suggestion of a piece of water in the background, a lake. So I'm going to concentrate the light area where the sun is just above that. Now at this stage I'm just getting the paint on really. I'm not really starting to form the clouds just yet. Now the white I'm actually using, it's a titanium white, but it's not suspended in linseed oil. This one's in safflower oil. Now the reason for that is sometimes with the titanium whites in linseed oil, they do tend to yellow. Some do, some don't. Now the one I'm using does tend to yellow quite a lot, but with the safflower oil it doesn't really yellow. This really is only a problem if your painting when it's finished is in the dark. And this, well, supposedly in theory, when you put the painting back into the light, the yellow disappears and it comes white again. It does, but not completely in my experience. So if you do want to keep your whites, I would suggest using a white with safflower oil instead of linseed oil. Been getting quite a lot of these cloud formations recently, where the rain is just sort of falling out of the sky, and you get the sunlight just behind the rain clouds, and the opposite, the opposite direction, you'll get a rainbow. Some amazing skies at the moment where I live. Now I think I'm going to use a larger brush on this, so I've decided to use one of my mottle brushes. It's a 3-inch, I think. Just get rid of some of those brush marks. Just see if I can get some of this rain falling down, similar to what's on the reference photograph. Now again, certainly for this technique, you do need your paint to be sort of quite liquid, really. That's why I think, you know, if you're using a very fast drying paint, you just can't do this. I think that's what tends to hold a lot of artists back, really, and what they tend to struggle with, certainly when they're starting out, is getting the right paint consistency. So important. I mean, even after all this time of painting, I still make those mistakes. I just tend to get a little bit too complacent sometimes, and you know, if I just don't get the consistency of the paint just right, it just doesn't work, or if it's drying too quickly. It's just little things like that you don't think are that important, but they are so important. And the consistency I have here with a fairly slowly drying paint is I do have control. And plus, if I do make a mess, I can just wipe it off and have another go. I think sometimes just being able to, you know, knowing that you can actually make corrections, can also give you the confidence just to try new things while you're actually painting. Just relax and enjoy it. At the end of the day, if you don't enjoy it, there's no point, is there? And it does show in your work. If you enjoy it, you always produce your best work, and it does just seem to show in the work. You know, you can really sometimes tell when a painting's been overworked and fussed over. I'll just get this size 6 filbert out. It's just a little bit softer than the previous two I've been using. Just want to lay a little bit of a light on without getting the brush marks in. Again, I don't want to be applying this white here too thickly, because I want to be putting some of the Paynes grey, a little bits of the Paynes grey down here, so and I don't really want to have to wait until it dries. So if it was on too thick, I would just lose control completely. Just enough paint just to cover the surface. It's quite tricky, is this, getting this sort of cloud to sort of just fall, get the falling rain coming down. I mean, you have seen me doing this technique on some other videos. I have done this when it's quite a wet on wet technique, but I think this one's possibly the better technique. I said the only downside with this technique is the paint does take quite a long while to dry, so you know, it'll take at least 2 weeks before this is touch dry, really. Oh. Right. Well, that's what can happen when you accidentally put your brush and the wrong paint. Oh, I was just trying to get that. Oh, I was just trying to get that nicely blended. Look at that. I've even got some down here. Oh, for crying out loud. Lightly brush over with some mineral spirits, but careful not to brush too hard, otherwise we'll be taking all the other paints off. Right. Still want to get that light coming through, and don't feel I've achieved it just yet. Just try blending this in a little bit with the fan brush.